1-2 hop sauce here, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. Stocks are pushing higher after this there's macro news, right? It has to do with the tariffs, and the courts rejected one of the, Supreme Court that the president put in to see if he can do some things with tariffs. It rejected it, so now the market gets a little more stable. And so the thing is, but Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum aren't doing much, people. If you haven't seen, we're kind of just sitting there. So I want to see what's really going on, taking a macro perspective. Look at these charts. You're gonna love this. Okay, check it out. Okay, look at this. This is the S&P, and you can see these yellow lines, trend lines, moving up, 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 up. Okay, trend lines moving up like crazy. We hit the top. This, by the way, this trend line goes back to December 2021. Is where this comes from as far as the high at that time. So if we zoom in a little bit here and we take a look at this thing, follow this upper line right here. Now we hit it here. We went above it and then came back down below the trend line, went up and tested it again. This time the test got rejected, bounced back down. Now this is in November 2025. The thing is, so it bounced off that trend line, and see this, boom, it's like a ball bouncing. Hit it again, a little bit smaller of a bounce, boom. We bounced again, came up, tested that upper, rejected again, broke through the bottom trend line on this test here. Now, this is the key to this whole equation I'm talking about right now. From here, this was January 26th. It came off this bottom support line, went up, and this is the biggest test that we've had right here. We hit an all-time high, testing this level here, January 29th, 2026. Look what happened, people. It rejected. It hit an all-time high and then rejected back down. Little momentum up, back down to that same exact support level. We hit an all-time high again, but we're underneath the trend line. That's what we got to look at right here. We're underneath that trend line. Okay? Look what happened. Boom. On this news that I just talked about today about the Supreme Court tariffs issue, we had a little pause, but look how weak it is. It's a tiny thing. Now this is what we're overall, if you look at it, we're on this upward trend, all-time highs. Look, people, if it breaks this support line, what do you think is going to happen? We're going down. We're going down in the S&P. Okay, there's that. Next chart, Bitcoin chart. Whoa! Can you see the downward momentum on this thing right here? Look at this. So we won't go too far back. We'll just say this is an all-time high, and if you stretch it down here, it's a downward trend, people. Downward trend. So to the 52-week low, okay, this orange line, that was recent, okay, that was at February 6th right there. Now I'm going to scooch it down. So it's a symmetrical downward trend from here to here or so. My tools are a little bit in the way there, but now this flagpole pattern was somewhat bullish, but it all depends on what it does. See, we had the pole, we were going down. When it ripples across like this, and it breaches above, we're still in a potential turnaround here. These Bollinger Bands coming together is less volatility. Okay, so we're kind of squeezing to try to figure out what's going on with the rotation in terms of the money supply, the money movement, the money rotation. Okay. S&P, I mean, just look, boom, upward, downward. Now here's XRP, also downward. I mean, this is the 52-week high up here. Here, let's get those tools out of the way. 52-week high. From here, boom, shooting straight down towards the 52-week low on these candles right here. Boom, it broke outside of this trend line. I mean, this stuff's interesting to me. I mean, it's, when you start looking at technicals, gosh, that was crazy. That was crazy talk right there. It jumped below that trend line and just off the table, hit a 52-week low at that $1.11, and then pumped right up. Now, this is somewhat bullish again in terms of a potential turnaround. The flag pattern, it retested the trend line, bounced up, but look how weak it is. It's a weak bounce. Okay, so looking at those charts. Okay, now you can see it. This is partially why I sold some of my stock, and I'm moving into the crypto a little heavier. I've been in the whole time, but might go a little heavier. I'm being patient. The thing I've learned, people, we need to be patient until we see a definitive turnaround in some of these things. Got to see how this plays out. So, going back over here, this Supreme Court decision reduced the tariff uncertainty as a whole, and the equities reacted positively. Okay, that's what we saw on that bounce on the S&P. Now, there's some risk on sentiment that has returned since that tariff got solidified in terms of reducing the ability to go too strong on tariffs. Now, the AI stocks and the mega caps are holding. Now, what I'm looking at here is this inflation data, the PCE. A lot of people are waiting for this to come out. And those tech earnings. Tech earnings are coming out. And, the NVIDIA is coming up. But when the macro uncertainty starts to just lower somewhat, the capital moves into the equities. Okay, crypto typically follows once this happens. So we got to see what happens on this all-time high bounce on the lower trend line with the indices. The S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow look similar. I don't want to go into too heavily on all those things, but so this is partially why I rotated my stock positions into the Bitcoin and Ethereum a little more heavily. Okay, that's but not crazy heavily. You got to tread lightly. And there's uncertainty across the board in the macro picture right now. The three drivers here. So let's just look at the ETF inflows for the crypto. And we're specifically talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Spot ETFs influence the price structure. The outflows do equal suppressed momentum, which the other thing here is the institutional money trades differently than retail people. Once you start digging into this and you start seeing it, it's very apparent. Now, the timing on this liquidity thing, crypto runs hardest when there's liquidity expansion. We know that. You can tell it's a smaller market cap. I say this all the time. Crypto can pump hard with smaller amounts of money moving into it. Now, the other thing is if the inflation numbers cool out and there's a Fed pivot and the narrative strengthens with the Fed as far as lowering rates and stuff like that, crypto's going to benefit. Okay? And so we're talking about the structural consolidation sideways movement is compressed. We are seeing some of this right now. That flag pattern isn't doing anything, it's just compressing. So when the volatility contracts, it often will proceed with this certain kind of expansion. So I'll tell you right now, crypto doesn't always lead the party. Crypto lags behind, like I said, because of less liquidity in that market. And it waits for confirmation now that we are seeing the institutional money being involved. The game is a lot different, people. So my question here, I'm asking, feel free to put in the comments below. So is the capital rotation coming in? Like, are we going to see the money flooding into crypto? So stocks. Okay, now here's the last bullet points here. Stocks are at all-time highs. Crypto is not at the all-time high. It's at the 52-week lows. There's a risk and reward asymmetry that's not lining up here. So if stocks are extended, crypto's compressed, where's the setup? That's what I'm looking at. Okay. Okay, we did the rotation and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, the iShares Bitcoin Trust is what the ETF, and the Fidelity is what I'm looking at because I have some liquidity. I have dry powder in my Schwab stock account, so I'm going to look at these ETFs, and I have been. But I'm kind of waiting because I do think we could see a little bit lower numbers on the Bitcoin and the Ethereum. Can't time it perfectly. That's why we do the DCA, right? We kind of just pepper in with our limit order. So ongoing, the regulatory themes that we're seeing for XRP, man. The institutions are positioning. I'm just telling you, this XRP discussion about this Clarity Act thing with all these big, huge players that are getting involved in writing the script for the law that's going to get passed. As soon as this lands on the president's desk, what do you think he's going to do? Is he going to reject it and act like, oh, we need to put a little more time in to edit and revise and all this kind of... You seen what he does. When something hits his desk, boy, he's got those fat little Sharpie pens and he sits there and just T-rump. He signs off on it. I mean, that's what it's going to be all about right here. So our clarity is a slow-burning catalyst thing. I think April is the deadline that we're looking at for this thing to get passed. But when it hits, it reprices fast. So XRP, I think, is going to feel it the most on this one. It's going to feel it the most. So now, you know, the thing, inflation too, if it reaccelerates, the risk asset pulls back. We got to watch inflation. If the NVIDIA earnings are disappointing, there's going to be a tech industry correction. It's expensive. That's what people are understanding. NVIDIA spends a shit ton of money to satisfy the production of their chips. I mean, it's really, a lot of money goes out. So we got to be careful with these numbers. You know, they might make it seem like the earnings are all fine and dandy, but look at how much money's going out the door. It is pretty crazy. So, you know, the ETF outflows increase, crypto will stall longer. So we also have to watch at these ETFs. This is the big money in here playing in the game. So you got to be balanced. Got to stay balanced, everybody. So just closing up here. You know, stocks move first. Crypto hasn't moved yet. They're finding the bottom. So the question here that I'm asking is not whether crypto's dead or not. The question is, are we coiling like that wicked, you know, diamondback snake that's coiling up? Ba-boom. That's the excitement of this whole thing now. So I'm just, you know, hey, viewers, put a comment below. My question to you guys, are you rotating into crypto right now, or are you just watching? It's all personal. It's not, you know, I'm just curious on what other people are thinking out there. I just, little engagement would be great. I'll update you all if something else comes up here like we do. And I will do another video if there's something strong. It's the end of the week, so I don't suspect anything like that. We're just kind of waiting to see what hits these headlines here. So anyway, people, like always, Hop Sauce, appreciate your time checking in here. Give me a comment, throw that thumbs up in there. And most importantly, I'm trying to get some subs. Give me that sub. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week playing out here. Happy Friday. Do something fun this weekend. If you live in an area where there's resorts, we have dumped massive amounts of snow. We're going up for sure tomorrow to one of the biggest mountains in the Sierra area. I think of Heavenly. We're going to go hit Heavenly. It's a massive mountain. The most powder. It's unbelievable how that place doesn't get tracked up like a lot of the other resorts, because it goes over it's in California and Nevada. And we have our secret little places. I've done my study, and I've crawled around that mountain quite a bit. I know where to find the fluffy powder. So Hops off signing up. Appreciate y'all.